And let's welcome Haley Hinson, Be Spontaneous. Be Spontaneous, Haley Hinson.
Be spontaneous. You'll get where you're going eventually. This was forever ingrained in my mind by a good friend back in high school who took way longer to get anywhere because I always made pit stops along the way. But one thing that I didn't realize at the time was this was also foreshadowing the next 10 years of my life. Now that I'm at Google, I've met a lot of people who took a fairly direct route here. They got a good job, or went to a good school, majored in computer science, applied for Google, and got a job here. I did not take this path other than going to a good school. I took a path that was neither planned nor that I could have predicted. There are moments in my life where I've had to make decisions between taking the unconventional path and staying with the more safe, conventional path. And I typically took the road less traveled because I have found that for me, the road less traveled is usually the road worth taking. So today I'm going to share 3 such decisions with you and how they ultimately led me here. The first decision was quitting my very first job out of college. My student job had become my full-time job, but I soon realized that building websites for university departments was really boring. I wanted to be a blogger. So one day I decided to just up and quit my job and learn the art of blogging full-time. Now that didn't actually happen, but what that triggered was a series of business hops, going between blogs and early stage startups. And each of those hops, I learned a ton. I learned about business, I learned about marketing, I learned about what it takes to survive in the world of startups, and I learned about the work that I wanted to be doing. Be spontaneous. It can lead to learning. The second such decision was also related to quitting. But this time, I was quitting a promising startup because I was not being treated right. I had co-founded a startup in the medical space with a friend. This friend was very charismatic and liked to whisper promises of lots of money, and I got caught up in the light of the entrepreneur's dream, as they say. But I realized over time that my opinion didn't count for anything, and I wasn't valued, and I was being used basically for free labor. So I quit. I decided to take a step back, and in that quitting, I was basically telling myself that I had permission to love myself, to respect myself, and I grew stronger in the process. So be spontaneous. It can lead to personal growth. The third decision was my decision to go to Thailand. I had been invited to come to Thailand to work as a developer for another early stage startup for 3 months. In doing this, I had to overcome a lot of fear because not only was I back in the startup world without much money, I also had to go to Thailand, and I had never even been out of the United States before. But by making this decision and by allowing myself to do it despite the fear, I broke through the shell of fear that was keeping me in the United States. This was probably the most important decision I've ever made in my entire life because I broke through that shell. Upon returning home, I didn't really know what I was going to do. None of my business ventures had really worked out. I was pretty much about to go broke. Let's face it. So when the opportunity to procrastinate because a game pops up in my browser, I, in my overwhelmed self, decided to play the game. What that game was Google Foobar, which is a Google recruitment tool that ultimately landed me an interview here and ultimately a job. So I was spontaneous, but I got where I was going eventually. So if you feel life ever leading you towards the unconventional, or just in general leading you towards a change, don't be afraid of that unconventional path. You don't have to do what society is telling you to do, or what your managers or your mentors are telling you, or your parents, or even your significant others. Give yourself permission to follow your own heart, because that's usually the road worth taking. You will get where you are going eventually. So in the words of Robert Frost, I took the road less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Thank you.